All right, so good afternoon to everyone. And I hope your week has been fruitful, and especially you're able to maybe catch up or rest during the weekend. So yes, great. So my name is Clifford Emmanuel Akanete, and I'm currently working as a data scientist at Get Innotized. Yeah, my roles hover between data analytics and then data engineering, mainly on on the cloud platform Asia. So yeah, that's what I do on a daily basis. As I'm really excited to be here, and Lauren said, I was also a graduate of Blossom Academy in the data engineering track, and I might say I found my passion there, and then so over time I'm building my focus, developing strong interest in data engineering, and yeah, hopefully things would come up there. So I'm really excited to be here to do this with you, and I'm happy to connect. So yeah, whenever we are done with the session, you can feel free to message. We can chat about our life or about anything. I can help. If I can help, I will. All right. So with that said, thank you so much, and welcome to Web Scraping. Sure. All right. So pardon me, I'm going to take a sort of no-brainer approach to this. So I'm assuming everybody is a beginner, and feel free to ask questions as much as you can. We have a lot of time. So feel free to ask any questions. If you prefer to use the microphone, you can just unmute yourself and speak. Or if you're like me and you want to go silent, you can just drop it in a group chat. I'll be able to see it and I'll respond accordingly. So with that said, let's begin. So here's how the presentation is going to go. And I'd really advise that because we'll be doing live coding sessions, I'd really advise that you are sitting behind your laptop, you have good internet, so that whatever I'm doing, you are doing the same thing. Because it's a master class, the assumption is that at the end of the class, you should be able to grasp as much of the content, like the course content, so that you can easily replicate what was done. So I would really advise that as we are doing it, as I'm doing it, you're also doing it along, so that your questions are more real time, and then yeah, we can go together. So this is how we are going to go. I'm just going to give a brief history of like the concept of browsing, explain the web scraping process a bit. I'm going to discuss some of the applications of web scraping. Yeah, I will talk about why I like it so much. And then there are two ways generally information is scraped from the web. And I'll explain that, and I'll discuss some limitations amongst the two. I'll just give a little, some of the things you need to know to be able to do it. And then we'll jump into our project. All right, so with that said, let's begin. Okay. Sure. So the recording will be the moment the session is over, it will be uploaded to the cloud, and then it will take some time to download it. So it will be ready for you. When it's ready, you'll be notified. The link will be available for you to download. So no worries about that. All right. Sure. Yeah. So we're just going to start off with browsing the internet. I think this is pretty clear, but the internet is just a collection of pages um, stored in several computers miles and miles away from where we are sitting. And these are all interconnected in several amazing and sometimes very confusing ways. Okay, so the concept of browsing the internet is just one of leafing through a page, as you can think about leafing through a page, and that's the same way when it comes to browsing the internet is. But there are some specific things that happen which are very critical to understanding how the web scraping process should go. And so I just want to explain that. So supposing you type in your browser www.facebook.com, what you are doing is your web browser is known as a client. What that means is you are requesting for the page called facebook.com. Now, that request to go into the internet, which we've already established, is collection of a lot of data, a lot of web pages in very weird ways. And then the internet would pinpoint the page that has that name, facebook.com, and then return that page to you through the internet to your web browser, and then your web browser will display that page on your screen for you. I hope this concept is clear. So anytime you type anything into your search bar, anytime you are Googling for something, anytime you are Instagramming or anything, what you are doing is you are making requests for a page, or you are making requests for a service, you are making requests for a resource, and then the one who owns the resource would serve you with that resource, and then your application or your endpoint or the client will display the response of that request in a way that would make sense to you, or that has been defined by the code. Okay. So just like browsing the web, that's the same way web scraping is, okay? But it takes a slightly different turn, because the same process of making a request for a specific website, and then you get the server or the resource that owns that website or web page would return a response to you. Now, instead of that response being displayed on the web browser or in your YouTube application or on your Twitter feed or anywhere, what happens is that the response objects can be filtered, and then data can be extracted out of it. Okay, so that whole process, that's the whole, I don't want to use pipeline, but that's the whole pipeline when it comes to scraping. So you make a request, the browser or the server that owns that resource you are requesting for would respond to you, and then that response can be in several different data formats. There's HTML, there's XML, there's JSON, there's a whole lot. The new ones springing up nowadays. And then what the web scraping guys do is that they extract the data out from the massive response that the browser returned or the server returned for you. Great. So that's basically what web scraping is. And then what makes this so vital is that it gives you the opportunity to access data in ways, that probably the website or the server that holds that data wouldn't have allowed you to do. So it gives you the opportunity to collect your own data, basically. Okay. And in this day and age where I don't really like the term data is the new oil, but in this day and age where data is a driver of decision making, is a driver of several processes that happens in our world today. It gives somebody the edge to be able to access this data at will, or on his own terms. Okay, great. Okay, great. So that's just it about web scraping. Now, there's at every point in time there are some legalities about it. There are people who explicitly do not want to be scraped, because here's the thing. When you are scraping, you are making requests, and depending on the data you want, you can be making successive requests in a long while. So there's this concept in security, computer security or networking security, known as denial of service. Okay, so denial of service is so it's how should I put it? Should I say hacking to, or so denial of service is a thing where, because a server is overloaded with a lot of requests, it crashes. So legitimate or other requests cannot be attended to. So hence the service is unavailable. So let's say there's an instance, if you've ever heard of, they'll tell you that, oh, WhatsApp has crashed today, or let's say Facebook has crashed today. It all happens that maybe maybe that there was a lot of requests on the Facebook server, so much so that it overloaded the ability and the capacity of the Facebook servers to issue us the needed response. So the system just crashed. Okay, so that's always a fear for people who build web applications. So depending on like the cases, some people will not want their websites to be scraped. Some others would provide restrictions and so on and so forth. But the main idea is you can be able to get the data you need to perform any single task you want. Now, web scraping as a whole, you can make a business out of it. But more importantly, web scraping is always a part of a process. So for those of us in, let's say, in the field of data, in data science, data engineer, data analytics, business intelligence, whatnot, or even pure research, maybe for anything, you always find this web scraping a useful tool to have when it comes to accessing data. Okay, then we'll see very shortly in some of our case studies we'll do today. So just keep that in mind. So here's one application of web scraping I personally found very amazing. So I could just so I just want to open the dashboard that this 17-year-old genius created quite early this year, last year actually, so late of last year. He created this website. He's just 17 years. That's amazing. So and core of the features of this dashboard is web scrapers that are pushing each metric or each statistic you are seeing here. So this would have come from a scraper that was scraping essentially the entire internet for wherever a new case is confirmed. Then that number will hit here. It will hit this point. And there are several other things. Okay. So and this was done by a 17-year-old guy. Well, the thing is he has been programming for a bit of part of his life. But the point is that with web scraping you can do anything and you can be impactful as well. Just imagine he released this early 2020, a bit of late 2019 to 2020, and just imagine what sort of impact this dashboard has had in the times where there were lots of numbers coming up. You could have like real authentic sources on this dashboard, and it helped to provide some clarity for all the decision makers as well. So here's one interesting application of web scraping, and then Charlie, the the applications are limitless. Okay, we'll see very soon. So you can use it to gather details of businesses from websites. Yeah, so there are services like that. So you have like there's a site called Yellow Pages, and then Yellow Pages is like a company directory, so a phone directory analog of businesses. Okay, so you have that. You have businesses details all existing. You can also have there's something called price comparison. So like let's say you saw an iPhone being sold on Amazon, and the same iPhone is sold on Alibaba, and maybe you saw the same iPhone sold on Jumia, and you want to provide a web service where you want to just compare prices among the two so that your clients or your users can pick the best one. So that's another something you can do with web scraping. That means you scrape the Alibaba site, to scrape the Jumia site, to scrape the Amazon site, and then get those data points for the iPhone price, and then you just compare the two and then push that information to the client, the user. Yeah. So applications are limitless. There are some. So aside those ones, what I'm really finding interesting nowadays is something we call social media analytics or predictive analytics, if you will, from social media. So social media provides a huge source of data. I mean, it's unimaginable the amount of data that is generated per second on a site like Twitter, on a site like Facebook. I mean, the amount of IG posts that can happen in a second. It's amazing to blow your mind. So just imagine this is a large store of data that can be used for various things, and it's amazing. So if you heard of Cambridge Analytica during the Facebook saga, yes. So if you heard of Cambridge Analytica during the Facebook saga, and then the whole data privacy thing that blew up in the world. It was alleged that they built a Facebook app and then they amassed several data points of the Americans. Okay, it's just mind blowing. Several data points of the Americans, and they were able to, based on that data point, they were able to detect the psychological traits of each American citizen, much to the extent that they could predict who that American would vote for. Okay, and this is just one application. This is just one application of what somebody can do with social media data. Okay, and you can do that to check let's say brand awareness. You can use it to check influence of, let's say, prominent people in the world. You can do amazing things. So supposing you launch a new product, and then you can use it to check the feedback from customers. You can use it to check several things, and now the possibilities are just amazing. Okay, so you can scrape hospital sites as well to get a catalog of doctors, product reviews for restaurants and various things and whatnot. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. So that's just that. There are basically two ways of scraping, and one is with something we call the API, and the other is something that's with API and without API. Now I'll explain in a bit what API means, but let's think of it like a gateway that gives you access to data. Just think of it like that for me. So some sites provide you with an API. Some sites provide you with an API that enables you to access information in a very restricted way. So, and some of them have payment structures. We will see one very shortly. Some of them have payment structures. So, depending on the kind of information or the amount of information you want, there is like a payment structure that you pay, that you'll be licensed to, so that you can have that data to yourself. And then because this happens over the internet, there's always the issue of the network bandwidth. Okay, and so this also ties into the denial of service thing. So if let's say a site like Amazon, just imagine if there are about 50 people scraping Amazon from Ghana, from Accra, I mean, in this class, Achimota, okay, then we have another 100 in somewhere in Kumasi, and we have, let's say, 1,000 in Tamale, okay, and just imagine if this is multiplied by, let's say, all countries in Africa. That will mean that there will be a lot of requests going to that site, and maybe all of them will have varying use cases. Somebody might be looking for just 2 tweets. Two data points. Somebody might be looking for 1,000 data points. Some of them might just be running infinitely, just getting the data as soon as it's being created. You get it? So all these ones, because of that, some web application builders provide an access, a streamlined restricted access to get their data for yourself. Okay, and that one comes with its advantages, in the sense that you don't really write a lot of boilerplate code, and it's pretty simple to use. The only disadvantage is that you'll be restricted in some way, and then you may not get the data in the form that you want, and then there's always some payment structure. So sites like Twitter, you have a very, very good API. LinkedIn also has a very good API. Amazon is Amazon. Like, they have very good APIs that gives you access to their data sources, and then their whatever you need to whatever information you need for yourself. Okay, yes. And the other one, which to me is my personal favorite, because it gives you freedom, scraping without API. So there are also sites that basically don't have an API. It's always best when you're creating a website to have in mind to develop an API of some sort, because when client response becomes more, and then you don't have a way of handling it, you can easily crash your service, and then you run into denial of service, and then people cannot get access to legitimate requests, cannot be placed, and then responses cannot be met as well. So the only downside to the scraping without API is you design everything from scratch. So in this very basic form, it's very, very simple to code, but depending on what you need, then the customization comes sometimes as a huge learning curve. So people in this sense, what they mostly do is they just go and hire somebody to script for them, and then they pay that person. So yeah, so money, you can get a lot of money doing this as well. But basically, you are unlimited in the kind of information you can get and however you want it. So I personally like this. But yeah, the thing about programming is we're always looking for the easy way out. So you can spend the whole night learning how to do something so you don't repeat doing it again. So yes, as much as I like scraping without API, scraping with API gives like the added advantage of like the ease of use, so you can focus on more the more necessary tasks. Okay. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, scraping without API also has some undeniable limitations. You see, like I mentioned, suppose you want to do a price comparison for smartphones for your clients, and they are like big e-commerce platforms. There's Alibaba, there's Amazon, there's Jumia, or there's even Gigi, and there's Tonaton. You'd have to design a specific scraper for each site. Okay, and that one usually takes a lot of time. There's a lot of debugging, and sometimes the websites can change their code like messy, and then once your scraper was working, now it's no more working, and then it gets so complicated, and you can just be hung up on this for like two nights or 3 nights or anything of that sort. So yeah, so that's some of the limitations of scraping without API. So you just keep that in mind. And then still scraping is still much in the gray area, especially for sites that explicitly demand that you don't scrape. It's very much in the gray area, so be careful, because here's the thing. Now that data is becoming more and more important, people are getting more concerned about the privacy of their data. If you're aware of the current happenings with the TikTok application, one of the accusations raised for that application is a huge data sink. Okay, in the sense that it's mining serious information from all its users. I mean, it's mind blowing when you think about what the TikTok app is doing. That's why countries are trying to ban it. India, Canada, they are banning it. Germany is also planning, and USA is pushing to ban it totally or buy it out. Right. So yeah, so it's still very much in the gray area. So always be careful of the sites you are scraping, and I'll show you something you can use to check yourself, just to make sure you're on the right track when you're scraping a site. So yeah. So with that said, but once again, if you are using for your personal analysis, you want to understand, you want to learn how to, so like I said, web scraping is always a part of a process. So like let's say you want to build a machine learning model, that is doing some sentiment analysis based on some textual data. All right, great. So you don't need to worry yourself about the legalities, because it's just something small. You're not taking it outside. You're just practicing how to do machine learning. You're practicing how to do natural language processing. So just that. But just keep it at the back of your minds. As people become more aware of the potential of data, they become more jealous of their privacy. So just keep that in your head when you are scraping. Okay. Right. So what you need to know and to have now, this is very important. Like in this is very, very basic, and so you don't really require a lot of programming to do it, and certainly not math. You don't really require math for this. And at least if you are able to understand a scripting language, you're able to understand the syntax, what it means, functions. You can write a variable. You can put something inside a variable. You can assign to a variable. You can create a list. You are good to go. You understand for loops. You understand conditional statements. You are good to go. You are good to go with web scraping. It's not really easy. And then the Python language is very, very, very good in the sense that it has a ton of frameworks or libraries that make the work even easier. Okay, so you have beautiful soup. There's Python request. There's a couple of others which I'll introduce very soon, but they all give you like clear access, and they make it very easy to do stuff. So you don't really suffer a lot with a language like Python. So yeah, Python is very good. Yeah, so you just need a basic understanding of HTML and CSS, especially understanding how response and request work, which I explained in the beginning. So that's all you really need to know, not a lot of things. Great. So basic understanding of HTML and CSS and how information is served via the internet, and you need to have a text editor on IDE. I really prefer VS Code. I think it's a very cool IDE. It's lightweight and it can do amazing things. Notepad++ is also a good bet. There's PyCharm for like the more senior guys. Those people like to code a lot. Like you can use PyCharm for everything. So PyCharm is good. There are several IDEs and text editors out there. And for this cause. Great. Okay, so we are ending part one right now. So for this session, I'm going to be using VS Code, but just before that, I'll just do a quick round. Any questions so far before we move to setup and everything to begin the actual work? Are there any questions so far? Hello. Oh, I take that as a yes. Like you're 100% good. I've explained myself very well. Yeah, very good question. Yes, so yeah, like I said, there are sites that have built a business around web scraping. Yes, web scraping. So yeah, Python programmer could definitely head in that direction. And yeah, there's a ton of resources. I'll share some links with you. You can try out to supposing you want to like take your scraping skills to the next level and start making money out of it. So yeah, it's a very good option to partake, but always keep it in the back of your mind that web scraping is always a part of a larger process. Web scraping is a part of a larger process. So you when you start with web scraping, you make sure you add on to it. So you can start with web scraping, then you can move to maybe analysis based on your script data, and you can just strictly go into data engineering where because of your ability to scrape the internet, you can provide data for machine learners or the business guys to. Oops, sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah, so you can provide data for other people to use for their analysis and stuff like that. So yeah, a scraper is always needed in a data science team because there will be some times where we need to access data from somewhere that there's no API, and then there's crunch time and we have to do it fast. So yeah, scraper is always needed. Great, great. Jeez, I hope you're able to get me. I just got confirmation that my voice was receding a bit. I hope all is clear. I mean, so far. All right then. All right, awesome. Yeah, thank you guys so much. So we'll move on to. There's nothing else to do. So this is all for introduction. We'll move on to the part two, and so we're just going to have an interesting time. So I'm assuming we'll spend about 2 hours in this part. So just a quick round. How many of you have um, any text editor of some sort? Personally, if you're a beginner and you have Anaconda, Anaconda is really helpful. So if you have Anaconda already installed on your machine, yeah, that is really great. It's really great. But if you have text editors like VS Code or Atom or any other text editor that can interpret Python code, that's also fine. You can just set it up now so that we move into the session. So I just quick confirmation. Does everyone have a text editor ready? I mean, you are ready. Okay. Okay, good. Just give it. Awesome. All right. Yeah. So welcome to part two of scraping. So all things being equal, the aim for this part of the project is to practice what we just learned. Practice what we just learned. Like put the knowledge we've been talking about for some time now. Put the knowledge we've been talking about for some time now into practice, into actual practice in a case study. So I'm just going to give like a real, so it's going to be like a hypothetical case of a real world problem that might occur sometime, okay, depending on where you work. All right, great. So just stating. Okay. So we are going to do some analysis on fellow Ghanaians. And today we have fellow Ghanaians coming up in the evening. So yeah, this social media is already bustling with information. And if you're a fan of Facebook or Twitter, you can go there and just be happy right now. So we're going to start off with scraping with an API. So the aim for this part is to guide us through the process of scraping with an API. We'll go through every single phase of it. I'll walk through every single phase of it with the purpose of you understanding it so much so that you can replicate it on your own and then do amazing stuff for yourself. All right, great. So here's a little case study. The president has become very famous ever since he made that statement. We know how to bring the economy back to life, but we don't know how to bring people back to life. Yeah, so he has become very famous. And then initiatives, the initiatives his government has taken have been met with like several varying degrees of satisfaction. I mean, when it all started, we're hailing him, or a lot of people were hailing him, saying that he's made good, he's handled the situation well. But over time, these sentiments have wavered. Sure. So yes, this is the president of Ghana. So over time, his these sentiments have wavered. Okay, so we want to analyze the ongoing discussions surrounding the president Nana Akufo-Addo, and then we want to see how favorable he's standing. I mean, at least in the eyes of social media. Okay, because elections are coming up. So yeah, so this is a typical case study of this is a typical project that can be assigned on a much larger scale. Once again, the scenario of Cambridge Analytica comes in mind. So can we determine which section of the population are likely to vote for a particular person, a particular candidate? How can we determine that? We can go to social media and try to understand what the people talk about, what they like, what they reject, what they ignore, what they talk about, what they react to, the kind of news they like, how the news is approached, like the text, the colors, all those things. If you're able to understand it, we can know how to deliver targeted messages to them, so that we can grab their attention. The same can work in the sense of marketing as well. So in the sense of marketing, so you have a product you want to push to a specific target with, let's say, the teens. Okay, so how do the teens react to certain issues? What are their concerns? What are their pain points? And I mean, nowadays people always rant on social media. So social media is one of those viable places where you can get quick feedback on about people's opinions about a specific topic. So like, let's say this just ended Barca match. The moment I mean, towards the match, as the match was going on, people were tweeting, giving their comment, giving their opinions. So if you can analyze those opinions over that period of time, you can quickly come to you can quickly build an intuition of what the people like, what they don't like, what they talk about, and then you can know how to deliver certain kind of informations to them. Okay, so this is in a very large sense what you can do with web scraping, and this is what we are going to do. So we are going to understand fellow Ghanaians. Yes, so with that said, let's get ready. So I'm just going to explain the three-step process I'm going to use to deliver this side of the session, and then we'll walk through each stage one by one. All right, great. So the first thing is to define the search criteria. Now, for this case study, we are not going to look at all the social media sites. I mean, that can be done, but it will be a lot of work right now. Okay, so we're just going to look at Twitter. All right. So once again, Twitter is always the one-stop shop for getting textual data, right? With one because of the way information is posted on that side. They are heavy on text, and they limit the number of characters. So it gives you a container you can think about, that people can put in any combination of characters to communicate a point or an idea. Okay, so Twitter is one of those places where if you want to understand textual data, if you want to source textual data, you almost always go to Twitter before you even think of Facebook or IG or something. I mean, you can't even go to IG, because if you go to IG, it means you want pictures or videos or GIFs or anything of that sort. Yeah, but Twitter, for Twitter, is strictly a lot of text in varying forms. I mean, Charlie, Twitter is a scary place sometimes. What? Yeah, because people just say their minds. I mean, everybody's an author, so Yeah, so happens. Great. So yeah, we're gonna use Twitter for this session, and then my one of my strong aims at the end of this session is for you to be able to, well, for beginners it might take a while to maybe write your own script to build, like, to scrape Twitter, but with the foundations I'll give you, you should be able to tweak the code to yourself and then do amazing things with it. Okay, so we'll look at the Twitter API and what it offers, what we can do, and all of that. But now from our case study, let's just derive the first step, our search criteria. Now, it's always very helpful whenever you are beginning a project to know what you are doing. So as much as I'm doing this, I'm also going to be as much as I'm doing this, I'm also going to be talking about like the step-by-step way we used to develop code. Okay, so we start from small and then build on it, and then before long we make it modular and we can repeat the process. All right, great. So the first step, every time, so if I were to be the one doing this project, I'll have a lot of paper around me and I'll be writing what I want to do. So the first step is define the search criteria. And in your mind, you'll be asking yourself, what kind of information do I want? I mean, what attributes makes the most sense? Okay, and those are some of the questions you'll be asking yourself. So, and the step two is, now that we are accessing an API, I'll explain very soon. So we need some credentials, and then we need to write some script to determine some information. So yeah, so I need to get my credentials. How do I get my credentials from this API? And then after getting your credentials, the next thing is to just write a script to download the data. And then from that too, you get an intuition. Okay, so I can do this. All right. So what if I want to get this number of this number of rows, or what if I want to get this amount of information? What if I want to get this several attributes? All right, great. So yeah, so that's the amazing thing we are going to do today. So I really can't wait to get ready. If you are ready, let's go. Now, before we go, I'm just going to give a quick brush up of what an API is. I I don't want to assume anything, so I'm just going to give a quick brush up of what an API is and how they work. Before I come to this diagram, let me just give a rather relatable scenario. So just imagine you head to a restaurant, probably maybe your first date or something of that sort. So you head to a restaurant, you are sitting with your beloved, and then a waiter walks up to you, and the waiter asks you, what do you want? The waiter shows you the menu and asks, what do you want? So there and then you and your partner decide on what you want, maybe a 3-course meal starting with this, ending with this, and all that fancy stuff. I mean, it's first date, so a 3-course meal, and you do that. And now the waiter takes your request and sends it to the kitchen, okay? And the chef in the kitchen looks at the request and then prepares the order for you. When the order is ready, the waiter comes, picks up your food. He picks up your food and then brings it back to your table, and then you and your partner can have a nice date. No, I'm not using boo. I'm not using boo. All right. So in this scenario, if you got a picture quite clearly, now the waiter functions as an API, in the sense that you sitting at the table, you don't see the kitchen. You don't know what happens in the kitchen. Neither do you really care. Okay. As far as you're concerned, you're come to eat good food and have a nice time. All right, great. So you don't really want to know what happens when you say, I want this for the first course, I want this for the second course, I want this for the third course. You don't really care. All you're concerned about is, I've placed my orders, get me my food. So anytime we are making a request with our browser, so when you type in, so a basic request is just a URL, a get. So get, we call it a get. There are several requests, so you can have get. Okay, so when you type in www.jumia.com, okay, so you've placed a request, you have given the waiter your order. Okay, so now that you've given the waiter order, the API, which is the waiter, will take that order and send it to the kitchen. Now the kitchen can be a web server, a database, or any combination of the two, and then we'll prepare your food. In other words, we'll get the data you need, and the API will serve it through the internet and give it to you back as a response, and then you have your nice looking site in front of you. I hope this is very clear. So in a very, very basic sense, this is how the APIs work. Okay. And the APIs itself consists of variables, functions, methods, whatnot. That gives you the ability to access specific information from whatever they are hiding behind them. Okay. Yeah. So that's just that. And now APIs have become so ubiquitous that now they are like products on their own. Okay, so somebody can earn a living just building APIs. Okay, somebody can earn a living just building APIs. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing the field of IT, how like new jobs just spring up. I mean, so someone can just earn a living building APIs because APIs are becoming huge markets. Okay, and then they are turning into products on their own. So there are a lot of sites where they have APIs for everything. I mean, it's amazing. So if you want APIs that can give you access to weather information, there's an API for that. If an API that can give you the ability to do facial recognition, there's an API for that. I mean, it's mind blowing. Okay, so we don't want to go much into it, but just keep it at the back of your mind. And this is how APIs work, and this is what we are going to be using the Twitter API for. All right, good. So the Twitter API is our waiter. He's the one that is listening in to our request and then going back to the kitchen, gets the request ready and sending back our food for us to eat. Are there any questions so far before we move on? Okay, so it's Clifford. It's Clifford and Laurie. Yeah, well, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. Okay. So sure, no worries. Um okay. So here's the thing. The API doesn't really cook the food. The API acts as the one, so sort of like a gateway, if you can think of it. So it is through the API that you get your food. So the API does not necessarily cook the food for you. Okay, just with that same dates seeing they got it exactly. So sometimes they are also called application gateways in some other way. Now, so if I could just branch into another metaphor, if I could use them like the gates metaphor. So just imagine a large building, let's say we'll call it Twitter. Okay, then there's a door. The door will be our API. Okay, so there are several locks, or maybe there are several doors. That means there are several ways to access Twitter. Okay, and then every door has its own key or credentials you need to access it. So that's something I'll get into next. So with every door, you need a specific key to open it. All right, great. So that's one of the things you should have before you're able to access an API. And this is where people can make this is where Twitter can, or any other web application can make some money out of it. When they build the API, they can create special doors to give you specific information or to give you some classes of information. And then these special doors, you need a key to access it to get that data. So if you want the key, then you have to pay for it. It's as simple as that. All right, great. So one more question on this before we move on. If not, I say you guys are super, super good. I mean, if there are no questions so far, I say you guys are super good. And then I shouldn't have started like thinking you guys are beginners. It's either that or I'm teaching very well. I doubt that. Sure. So I'm just going to wait. Sure. Any questions? Any more questions on this? Awesome. I think questions will come when we start. All right. Well noted. All right. So let's begin. So we're going to define our search criteria, and yeah. Once again, I wish everybody has VS Code. So if you don't have it, you could download it now as we talk. Okay. So we're going to define our search criteria, and here so no offense to our president. No offense to our president, but I'm just using that term loosely because as it stands now, this season has I mean he has gotten a new name, so yeah, it's fine. But what we really want to get from every tweet object is like the text itself, the date and time it was tweeted, the name of the tweeter, the location, the bio, I mean any information you want. So if you're familiar with the concept of object-oriented programming or anything of that sort, every tweet is essentially an object, okay? And every object has some features. Oh, it's perfect. Jupyter Notebook is perfect, all right? No worries. No worries at all. It's perfect. You'll be fine. Awesome. So yeah, every you can, if you understand like the concept of OOP, every tweet is an object, and every tweet object has some information. All right, it has some attributes, if I could put it that way, or some characteristics. So with this tweet object, if you can see the lovely tweet of the president, we can easily identify some of the features I was talking about. Great. So you can see the tweet text itself. You can see the name of the tweeter. So the screen name and then the username. You can see a picture. So these are all attributes of the tweet object. Right? You can see the time it was posted, the date time it was posted. You can even see the source. Oops, went too fast. You can see the source of the tweet. So which device it tweeted from. So currently there are like 3 sources. So it's either Twitter for iPhone, or Twitter for Android, or web clients. Okay, so all those 3 accounts. So you can even make some interesting use analysis here where you can say that, okay, so people who tweet with iPhone don't say certain things or anything. I mean, you can just go crazy in that sense. And you can see some hashtags. You can see a picture. You get it? So, and you can see some statistics here. You can see a number of retweets and comments. You can see the number of likes. So all these are data points, and all this information can be stored in a row. Okay, and this row, you can have several rows of this, and then you can analyze it or store it in a database for further analysis. All right, great. Cool. So that's the first step we're going to do, defining our search criteria. And I hope it's pretty clear, my search criteria. Okay, great. Yeah, so here guys, because it's a like large class, I wouldn't mind if I get your feedback like on the fly. So when I ask a question, you can just say something, put it in the chat so I know that you're following. At least it gives me some vibe. Sure, thanks. All right, great. So once again, I just want to iterate. This is a very basic task, and we don't really need much. So the IDs you can use: VS Code, PyCharm. Jupyter Notebook is very fine. Anaconda has Jupyter Notebook, so that one too is very fine. So if you have any of these, you are good to go. So let's go to our first step. So once again, just keep this picture at the back of your phone. We are using this this diagram to go through this one. So now we've gotten the search criteria. We know the attribute that makes most sense to the analysis we want to do. All right, great. So now the next step is just access the necessary criteria and the necessary API. Now, for every web application that has an API, there's a process around getting the keys to the door. If the metaphor on the gate still makes sense to you, the keys to the door to get access to your data. So there's some processes involved, and we are just going to go through the Twitter one, and then we'll see how to do that. So everybody, let's head to developer.twitter.com. Yeah, let me. Oops. All right. Okay. So let me just pretend that this is in there. Okay. So let's go to developer. If you've not done it before, if you've not accessed this side of Twitter before, you might see some information. Yeah. Okay. Great. I'm gonna just do that now. Okay. So developer.twitter.com. I'm just going to give like 1 minute for everyone to give confirmation that they are there. I mean, if you are following, just let me know that you've done this. Yes, awesome. So if you are following, just let me know you've done this, and then we'll head straight to it. Great. So this is the site for developers for Twitter. Awesome. All right, great. So we can just go on. Oh boy. Yeah. It's a bad time to have a party. Okay. Oh, come on. Yeah. So what we want is the Twitter API. So we just head to it. Very great. So I'm going to use the Twitter API just to demonstrate how this thing is done. And oh, jeez. Okay. So I hope you got it. So you click on the. Wait. Let me go back again. I just want to make sure everybody's on track. So let me start the whole process again. So you come to the developer portal. Awesome. You guys are good. This is going to be fun. All right, great. So at the developer portal, you can click apps. All right, great. So if you've not created an app before, you're going to see this here. And so you just go to create an app. Yes. You have to sign into your Twitter handle. Because you are creating an app with your Twitter handle. I mean, your Twitter accounts, let me not use handle. Because this time, instead of interacting with Twitter as a user, you're interacting with Twitter as a developer because you want to do this. Okay, I probably should. Let me try this again. All right, so Sybil, here's what I'm talking about. Yeah, so Sybil, there should be developer portal here. It should be the last link before your profile information. Yes, please. So here's developer.twitter. Everybody here, and then you click. Sure. Oops. Does everybody else don't have this? I mean, how many of you have been able to get to create your app?
I have, but don't we need access first to be able to get this?
I mean, could you repeat that, please?
I know that to be able to like get the API thing, you have to apply for it or something. Like, is it available to just anyone?
Oh yeah, it's available to all. I mean,
okay.
Just have updates. Apply. Is anybody getting what Sybil is referring to? She has updates, support, and apply. Yes, when you go to developer.twitter, it should open a new page to you that looks like what I'm showing on the screen right now. And then you'd come to apps. So if you already have your okay, I get it. I think if you are not seeing anything, you should apply. Probably, yeah, you should apply. I really should have done this from this one, but great. So when you're done, come to apps. You can come to apps. Yes, please. Everyone sign in. When you open a developer app, it will ask you to sign in. I probably should have done it that way. All right, great. So you can just go ahead and create an app. So this is like just boilerplate stuff. It's not really needed. Oh, somebody's writing on my. Oh, so sorry. Well, I wouldn't have to create a new Twitter account right now. I mean, it wouldn't take time. But I get you. Yes, that's one limitation. That's one limitation. So when you're on the developer tab, just at the last link before your profile or something, you should see like your username. So I'm setting this as different from like your Twitter handle, but this is like your developer name. I mean, when you apply for the developer, you should be able to create this. Then you click apps. So when you click apps, and let me just go back to it. When you click apps, if you've not created any app, you will not see anything. But if you've created an app, if you've not, you should see this button at the bottom, at the top right side, and then you can just click there. No, please. The reason why you can't use the Twitter app is because you need to get to the developer console. You need to get to the developer dashboard and not like the client side, I mean the user side. Because what we are doing right now is we want to get our keys, the credentials that we will use in our script to access the data. Okay, great. So it's much more, yeah, it make much more sense to use the developer console. Awesome. No worries, no worries. So I shared a link earlier, the developer.twitter.com. So if you can kindly click that one, it's in the chat, Ibrahim, it's in the chat. Yeah, you click that one, and then when you get to that one, you can easily see developer. On a second thought, let me just share the developer link. Okay, so the developer portal. So you should see this dashboard. This is what I'm referring to. So probably I should just copy this dashboard. Yes, please. If you can see apply, then it's setting that because you've never done used the developer before, it's asking you to create a developer account. So you can just do that. It is actually just tied to your WhatsApp account, but it's just a way to know. At least let's get Ibrahim and the people here ready. If I hope you are good now.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Awesome. Yes. You can just put you're way ahead, but that's fine. You can just put stuff there. I mean, it's just we are just using this for test. So when you finish, you can easily delete that app. You can easily delete that app. So when you are creating an app, don't worry about all this one. So app name required because we are downloading. You can just call it tweets downloader. Don't worry about the data. You can easily delete it. I mean, so description. So this app is to help download tweets using a Python script. So all things being equal, a website URL. So here it's pretty but you can just put website. I mean, no, it's not. This one is done because like when they start to notice suspicious activity from the app, they can know who to contact and also usually you can. I use my company email for this, my company address for this, so you can use anything you will, anything. So it's just they just need a working website. All right, great. So no worries at all. All right. Oh, so the rest of the stuffs are not really necessary. The required ones are the ones that are required. The rest of them you can just leave them blank. Wait, there's one more thing. So here you just provide a brief description of what to use. This would be used to. This is so because this is a training session, so this is being used in a training session to understand how the Twitter API works. Oh, they're asking for more information. Yeah, oh dear, oh dear. All right, great. So you guys should keep it up, eh? Python scripts would be created to access tweets. Okay, so I hit the 20 this one mark. So when you click create, it may take some time to okay, so here again you see some reminders. Once again, like I said earlier, data is becoming a very hot issue, so you always be careful. Oh, you can see they are very explicit on surveillance purposes. So it just tells you what data can be used for. I mean, so there are some automation rules as well. Yeah, so people can actually build bots from the using a Twitter API. Yeah, so you just create. So usually, oh, app name is in use. Oh, let's try this one more time. Okay, our application has been created. Now, if your application has been created, don't be in a hurry. We'll come back to something, but we'll go to, so let's everyone, I hope you have got to this point. Just give me quick confirmation. I'm just going to wait for like some 1 minute or two. Just let me get quick confirmation on this. Oops. Are you still filling the form? If you are filling the form, that's fine. I just want to confirm that you're almost done with creating the app. Nobody's struggling with signing up to the Twitter developer. Nobody is okay. All right. No worries. Let's just try it again. Okay, so I'm going over one more time for those who wait. You can't copy my data. You can't copy exactly. Oh no, it's no, it's Mama G. Don't worry. So yeah, so this is the first link, and then you go to the developer portal. When the developer portal opens up fully, there were people that were talking about some apply. So if you're having that challenge, maybe somebody who has that challenge can just go over it, because I don't have that challenge yet. So, but then if you see this, if you've applied and you have your developer account, you just go to this side and then click apps. All right. Okay. So when you click apps, you can create an app. Right, great. So you have to provide your app name. You provide some details. Yeah. Oops. That one can take a while. Oh, geez. That one can take a while. So, yeah, I don't need to review. Jeez. Please just skip me. Just skip me. All right. That's fine. Yeah. Yeah, so the internet part, you can just, so for me, I described the fact that this is the training session where we are figuring out how the Twitter API works. So we are building a Python script to understand how to scrape data from the internet. So let's have that done, and hopefully you should get your confirmation soon. Usually it shouldn't last long. It shouldn't last long. It might take some time, but it shouldn't last long. Great. So when everyone gets to this point, you can pause and I'll just do a quick confirmation. Yes, so Mama J, I hope you are okay now. Maxwell. Yeah, Maxwell, you want to say something?
Yes, application are review, so I don't think I can I can practice.
Yeah, yeah. So hopefully that one shouldn't take long. I'm sure you get confirmation soon. But we'll come back to you. I just want to confirm that everybody has successfully created the app and all. Wait, can I let me get this straight? Was it that like the application to join to have a developer account that was being reviewed, or the application to create an app that was being reviewed?
Developer account being reviewed.
The developer account being reviewed. Okay, sure.
Yes.
That shouldn't take a long time soon. We will get confirmation soon. Yeah, it's actually quite long. Yeah, I will agree to that. All right, but no worries. We'll come back to it later. Let's just move on to another part. So I'm guessing everybody that hasn't done it, like it's because the developer account hasn't been. I just want to confirm how long to take. Oh, I should have done this earlier. Oh, okay. Sure. If that's becoming a problem, no worries. We'll just move on. Um, okay. Yeah. So if anyone gets the confirmation, let me know. I'm trying to confirm how long to take. Okay. We may just have to switch up on this. Oh, but I didn't anticipate this. Okay, no worries. Let's just proceed. So everyone, we can start up MR editors. For those of us that are using like Visual Studio Code or anything, um, let's create a folder. Uh, sure. So we could just create a folder and so we can call it Lotion. Okay. Yeah. So you can just use this folder. For if you're having Jupyter notebook, all you need to do is open it up, and then you can create a Python notebook, and then you can start up there. So the first thing we need is a credentials script, a credentials script. So this is just to help us store the credentials separately, because the credentials are like separate documents, and it's a separate, like, it's secret keys. So you're going to get secret information which technically shouldn't be shared with anyone. So it's always advisable to separate such logic from it's always advisable to separate such logic from um, every other thing, just for security's sake. All right, great. So we're just going to have, this is simple. We are not going to do much. I'm just going to put like the four credentials that we need. We're just going to put it here, and then when we create our script, we'll just access it. I hope that makes sense. All right, great. I see a lot of people are distracted by the let me, a quick one. Is everybody facing that developer account thing? Wow. Okay. Okay. Well noted. No worries. No worries. We'll try. We'll use a different approach. All right. Okay. So you can hold off with creating a Twitter app for this. Yes, the review might take some time. It varies. I mean, I've been trying to find out information about it right now. It varies. It varies. Sometimes it can take a while. It can be done very easily. Okay. So getting a Twitter API is one thing, but then getting the Twitter developer account is one thing, because it helps you the ability to directly interact with like the Twitter API. But then Python has several other libraries that enable us to do this perfectly. So we are just going to explore that one, so that you don't really, when your other one is done. So we'll explore that one first, and then we'll do that one together, and then I'll just go ahead with doing the one with the Twitter app, so you can all follow and ask questions. Then you can have the recorded video to yourself, as and when you get authorization, I mean your application is reviewed and you are good to go, you can start up this one. So let's hold this one for now, and we'll come back to it soon. Let's see. All right, great. So there are several APIs that enable us to access. There are several Python frameworks that gives us the ability to access. Yeah, gives us the ability to access the Twitter data. So what I wanted us to use required that we have like the Twitter credentials. Sure. So Ibrahim, don't worry about the session is being recorded, and the moment is done, and the link will be provided for you to download the video to yourself so that you can have it. So I just want to speed things up a bit so that we don't get too disappointed, because I really didn't anticipate that the developer application will take time. Great. All right, great. So like I was saying, there are several frameworks, Python frameworks, that gives us the opportunity to access like APIs. All right, great, from Twitter, to access the Twitter API. It's good question. This is a very good question. So it's always advisable to have one API per. You can use, so far as the API key is going to be used for that same purpose. You can have like several scripts that all use that same credentials. All right, great. Because the API just this particular credentials gives you access to the entire Twitter API, and then as and when you need specific information, you can get it from the site. Okay, so it's always advisable to just have one API that you can use it for several clients. And but if you want to create a different app that will do a specific task, so you can see here this app is just downloading tweets. You can also have another application that is just going to, let's say, post tweets. So a bot that will post tweets, send DMs, that kind of thing. So that one too can be, you can create a separate app for that. You can also have another app that is just following people or unfollowing people. So something like that. So that one is entirely up to you. Great. But it only makes sense to just have one API for different scripts, supposing you're doing the same thing. All right, great. So I just want us to move on quickly. So there are two Python libraries that I found. Yeah, it shouldn't take long. So yeah, I think I'll do this. Let me just work with one library that doesn't need the Twitter API credentials, and then that should take around 30 minutes. Then after 30 minutes, if everybody has been confirmed, then we can do the one with the Twitter. Awesome. All right, so let's get to it. So there's the TP. If you've heard of TP before, TP is a Python wrapper. Okay, we only say it's a wrapper. It's just like it's something placed upon the Twitter API, and it has its own functions that help to ease the process of accessing the Twitter API. Great. So I should show you the documentation. That will make more sense. Okay. All right. Awesome. Okay, so I just want to show you how it looks like. Mm. So yeah, version 2 is just being released now, so it's not entirely stable. So we just go with the stable one. So when I talked about an API is just basically a collection of scripts, functions, variables that gives you access to it. So these are the standard APIs available from the Twitter app. You can have an API that posts to engage with tweets. You can get a timeline of your tweets. So let's say you can get all your tweets from a particular date to this one. You can search for tweets within a specific time interval. You can filter, you can sample, you can manage accounts directly from code. You can create lists. I think list was a feature they introduced quite recently, and there's an API for that as well. You can send DMs, you can send welcome messages, that kind of thing. You can upload media right from code. You can get trends. You can get places near location, all that. So you see, I was talking about the fact that APIs sometimes have some payment structure to it. So with each like payment structure, there's a specific feature you can access and there's a specific feature you can't access. So even with this one, the standard APIs, which are the free versions, you can get all these things. But if you are searching for tweets, you can only get about a week ago tweet. So like suppose they can only get 7 days before. You can only get up to 7 days before today. That's number of tweets. The rest of them are not available to you under the standard API. Okay, but there's a premium API, and I can get tweets up to 30 days. And can get a full archive. That's starting from March 2006 when Twitter started doing its stuff and all that. Then there's the enterprise level. You can get a lot of features. So that's just that on it, and we'll just go straight to what we'll be using. So this is technically what we want, the search tweets. Okay, so this is the API endpoint we are looking for. All right, so everyone, from time to time, just checking uh, check your emails for confirmation, because it technically shouldn't take long, but just check your emails for confirmation. Right. Okay, so let's just look at the documentation. And one of the things every programmer should be aware of is like documentation as well. So yeah. So this one gives an information of how the search works, the various parameters you can use. It's quite complicated, and I don't want to bore you with that, but I just want you to see the response of, like let's say when you are searching per criteria. So in our case, we are searching for fellow Ghanaians or something of that sort. So we have this long, this is actually the response from the Twitter, the response the Twitter API brings to us when we search by a particular key. Is long, it's very long, okay? So if you are familiar with JSON text, this is a JSON text, and it's quite cool. All right, so yeah, just keep that in mind. Now the other library which we are going to use right now is one I discovered recently whilst I was looking for a way to get old tweets. It's called Get Old Tweets. It's really cool. It's really cool. Oh, it came as GOT. Get Old Tweets. So there's one limitation with the standard API for Twitter. So the standard API for Twitter can only give you access if you are searching for tweets. You can only get tweets up to like 7 days ago. But what if you want information, let's say from a specific date, day in time, or something of that sort? Then it becomes essentially difficult to do that. So we are going to use this Get Old Tweets library, and we are going to use it to play with, to access Twitter data. Let's get to it. I've been talking too much. All right, great. So you can create a new Python script. So the same for the Jupyter notebook guy. You can just create a new Jupyter notebook. You can call it scraping Twitter. I like to be descriptive with my names, with GOT3, and it's a Python file, so the py. The case of Jupyter notebook is just a Jupyter notebook. Yeah, so yeah, we are here. So before we can use it, the Get Old Tweet is a framework on its own, it's a library on its own. So, and it's not shipped with a Python package. So what we can do is to have to download it. All right. Okay. So that's just a simple pip install. So for somebody with a Jupyter notebook, you need to let me just. So for somebody with a Jupyter notebook, what you need to do is to use they call it the magic keyword. So magic key, then do pip install GOT3. So yeah, you can quickly do that. Yeah, you can see sorry, pip install Get Old Tweets 3. Nearly messed up the name. So everyone, just follow along. You don't, for this one, you don't really need a Twitter API. You don't need a developer account. You can easily do this. So if this is for those with a Jupyter notebook, if you have the Jupyter notebook, you can kindly do this here. Or if you like, you can open command prompts. You can open your terminal, and then you can do it there. So pip, that's assuming you already have pip installed and all this one. You can do pip install Get Old Tweets 3. And just hit enter and do this. But I want to do this here. So I'm just going to do that here. And just a simple pip. I'm using Linux, so I have to supply pip3 just to make sure that it uses the Python 3 interpreter. So you don't really need to do pip3. You can just do pip install. Please, I hope everyone is following here. Oh, I missed the 3. Jeez. Let me just kill the terminal. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Yeah, so everyone should be able to do this successfully. Let me know if you've done this. Let me know if you've all been able to install Get Old Tweets 3 framework. Awesome. So now that we've installed it as part of our Python package, the next thing is to now import it into our script. All right, so that's a basic import. If I do know what import that, it gives us the ability to access all the functions and methods inside a specific library or package. Right, great. So import Get Old Tweets 3, and if you correctly installed it, IntelliSense should be helping you now. We already understand what this code does. It just imports the library, but we give it an alias so it is easy to call it. So instead of me, if I want to call it, I don't need to type everything. I just need to type GOT. All right, great. So this is a fairly easy step. anyone using Jupyter Notebook as well? I mean, the Jupyter Notebook guys, if you have any challenges, just let me know. All right, great. The beauty about Jupyter Notebooks is that you can execute each code in the cells, which is something I really love, especially for like when you are beginning to write a script. You can test each code one by one and see how it and see the output of each code, and it's pretty cool. So yeah. Now, anytime, awesome, guys. All right, so anytime you are working with a library, okay, we need to read the documentation to get an idea of how to access the information we want. Now, once again, I don't want you to forget our search criteria. Where are you? So I don't want you to forget. Our search criteria is here. So we need the tweet, the date and time, the tweet, the username, the location, and the bio, and probably the number of followers. So let's try to see what the get old tweet can give us. So yeah, some plenty stuff. Twitter has the time limitation, but I can't get tweets older than a week. This is huge news. I mean, like, suppose you want to do some textual analysis of events that occurred in March. I guess I was working on a project with a guy, and we needed to scrape Twitter data from the time that the president announced that we were going on lockdown to the time that the lockdown was lifted. All the tweets. It will be very difficult to do that with the standard Twitter API, because that one you have to pay before you can access anyone. So this one was like a godsend. Okay, so you can easily do that, and we just walk through the documentation. This is the get tweet, the merge tweet, so the tweet object. Okay, these are the various attributes we can get from that tweet. We can get the ID of the tweet. We don't need that for this. We can get the permalink. We also don't need that. We can get the username. Okay, we need that. We can get the text, the actual text. We need that. We can get the date in UTC. Yeah, we need that. And yeah, that's about it. That's all we can get, which is pretty sad. But yeah, this one of the limitations of this library as well. So we can't really get all the search criteria we want, but at least we just go with it. And yeah, so the Twitter criteria. So this is like where you build like what you want. So the search criteria we're talking about, this is where you build it. And you see these two methods which are very particular to us. You can set the time interval that we want. So yes, please. If what, that's very true. So what I want you to do is right there you can create a new cell, and I'll just give you a code to type. So the Jupyter Notebook, guys, if you haven't done this, use this Python. It's called a Python magic command. It's something. So percent sign and pick, and you can do install, then get old tweets 3. So you can do this directly inside your code in the Jupyter Notebook. If you don't like this, you can open your CMD, your terminal. Come on. You can open your terminal and then you can open your terminal and do it there. That's assuming you've already installed Python and then like everything is configured perfectly. So you can just do it here if you don't want to do it inside your Jupyter Notebooks, and after it will run. Yes, command line works. It's still the same thing. Get old tweets. 3. Okay, so everyone, let's do that. I just want to make sure everybody is here before we move on, because this is really quite simple. It's a really simple step. So let's just get this done. Right. Confirm that you've been able to install this, and then when you finish, try to import it again and run. For the Jupyter Notebook, you can just run that cell just to make sure that it knows that that library exists now. So pip install get old tweets. If you're on Windows, the command line and using Jupyter Notebooks, you can easily use the percent sign pip, or you can do the terminal for it. Okay. So yeah, Mama J, you can follow along here because here we don't need a Twitter API. Yeah, so you can just follow along. Awesome. Kingsley, you have to be clear. What exactly do you want me to go over, please? Do you want me to go over the process of installing the Get O to its framework on Jupyter Notebook or wherever? Could you be more specific? Yeah, on PyCharm. Oops. On PyCharm, you can directly access a terminal. Am I right? If that's the case, you should be able to. If you can print out. Oh, wait. All right. Okay, so that means that the percent one didn't work. Please, did the percent one work for anyone? If this doesn't work, quickly open your command prompt and do it there. Quickly open your command prompt and do it there. So okay. So that means that there's somebody keeps drawing on the screen. All right, so everyone do what's mostly suggested. Take off the percent sign and do that. So Joyce, if the percent is not working, take it off and do it again. Awesome. Yeah, we just learned again. It's a time where percent was working but not anymore. Yeah, so if it doesn't work, oh, Faith, are you using you're using VS Code, right? Oh, you're using Jupyter Notebook. Yeah, so for Jupyter Notebook, if you are working with the command line, don't put the percent sign there. The percent, yeah, thank you, Williams. The percent sign only works inside a Jupyter Notebook. I think it works inside a Jupyter Notebook. Yes. Let's get quick confirmation. You guys, round it up. Let's get quick confirmation from you. Awesome. You guys are good. Yeah, let's finish this. Yeah, so let me just get Faith and Joris giving me confirmation, and Didi and Kingsley giving me confirmation. Yeah, good. Faith, please can somebody help Faith, because I don't know what to say again. I don't know what to say again. Yeah, we have good teachers here. Let's go. Awesome. Great. So yeah, let's go. Is the exclamation. Thank you. Yes. Hey, I didn't notice that, William. That was a good one. Okay. Guys, I want us to have a data set ready for analysis. Okay, so she can't import it. Probably if it's Anaconda, if the Jupyter Notebook, then maybe you should refresh it or restart them. that notebook. Restart that notebook. There shouldn't be a problem. Exactly. Restart the kernel. Let's go. All right. So as Faith sorts this out, so the first thing we need to go is to define our search criteria, and let me just have this side by side here. Okay, so my machine is not allowing me to go side by side. Okay, so I'm trying to do it side by side. So, got it now. It's better for me. Yes. So yeah. So I think the percents are on. Thank you for that. Okay. So let's get to it. So if you can see here, so as in like working with, yes. All right. So as in working with frameworks, you don't really worry about writing code from scratch. So you always have code already for you. You can use, and then just be editing as go. So here we want to get to it by a query search. Okay. So this is exactly what we want. So we're just going to match this one and do the same thing. So let's just have our search criteria. So this is like inside tip on how we work with frameworks. Good. There's somebody tells you that he knows how to access Twitter API with like a library or so. He just came to learn how to write the code here, so it's not any big deal. Okay, so the thing about this is the guest O tweet is that it has a lot of inside code because it's like a way around the standard API. So there are a lot of things that might not make sense to you, but you just keep it in your head that you need to access the this one. So here's where we are. Great. So the query search is the most important to us now. So as you can see right from this one, we are just going to specify query search also. So we are just going to say Nanado. Nanado. Okay, we got it. And then we say settings. So these two ones are important, especially for like the get old tweet, because this gives you like an opportunity to download a tweet from any day you can think of since Twitter started to any day you can think of since Twitter ended. So the settings will give you like the minimum date it should start from. So let's just say we just want to get information about like this week's information. So starts with year, so it's a string, so 2020, and let's just say 008, and today's what? Today is 16, so let's say 16, and wait, so yeah, this is the lower bound, sorry. So yeah, so 8, so let's just say 8, or let's say 10 or something. Right, okay. And then I hope you cannot see my coding. Okay, so set until. So this is also pretty straightforward. Just provide. Once again, this particular library doesn't give us a lot of attributes of the tweets to access. Fair enough, but we can still do a lot from it. And let's just go on here then. So it's still 8, and let's just say up to 16 or perhaps 15. All right, great. Yeah, for now, you see, this one is always a lot of tweets, but for now we can just manage the amount of tweets we want. So this is up to your discretion. You can have like 2,000. I mean, I was working on similar projects where I downloaded 1,000,000 tweets because I want to do sentiment analysis, and sentiment analysis, you really 1,000,000 is very small. Okay, so yes, it's actually up to you. So for starters, I'm just going to do 2. Okay. All right, great. So this one will return the tweet object. All right, great. And now let me just show you. So it will return this tweet object, and this tweet object has the following attributes. Now we are going to specify the kind of attributes we want. All right, great. We want from this. So it will return it in the search criteria, and then so with the search criteria, then we're going to use the get tweet function. All right, great. So let's go. I'm just going to call it tweets manager. Tweet manager. Don't mind this plenty boilerplate code. I mean, actually, it's just weird. So you want to learn how to get tweets by this one. You can just follow the guide here and just use it as a challenge. That's how we work. All right, great. So get tweets. Oops, I did a comma instead. Get tweets. Jeez, I hope I'm not going too fast, everyone. If I am, please alert me, because that will be a nightmare. Yeah, can you let me know if I'm going too fast? Awesome. Thank you, George. Thank you so much. Okay, great. So we have a search criteria waiting for us. Let me do this. And now let's just print out, let's say, the text and see how it looks like. So tweets.text. So we are just testing it. All right, great. So all things being equal, let's roll. Spelling mistake. Shall live coding there? You always have to expect some errors. Okay. So once again, this is dependent on your internet service. What is happening? It's a list. All right, great. So it returns it as a list. If I could just show you. So VS Code will just show you the data type of this variable is a list. That means it's more than one variable. You see, I said 2. So let me set this to 1. So I'm just getting 1. Let me see if it's still return a list. Okay, to still return a list. Oh, I didn't see the thing. Yep, it's still a list. So let's just access the first element of the list. And we can do that easily with the index accessor and a 0. Yes. And we just got our first tweet. Somebody is saying 4 more for Nana Akufo-Addo. So it's people on Twitter can push agenda. 4 more for Nana Akufo-Addo. 4 more for Bayern. So, oh God, it's so sad. Sure. So we just access our tweet object. Now let's try to do more. So aside getting a tweet, let's just say we just don't want the tweet. We want, like, let's see the kind of information we can get. We can get the username of the person. All right, great. So let's just get the username as well. So the same tweet object, okay. Don't forget it's the tweet object we are using. And say the username. Yeah, let's go. So once again, we are just playing with stuff. So we've gotten the username here. It's called Frimpong 3. Great. So are there any hashtags? We can do that if we want, but we can just go on and add the date, because the date is very important to us. We want to know. Supposing I just set max tweets to 1 so that I could get just 1 tweet, but you can set it to any number. Technically, you can set it to 1,000,000 or 1,000,000,000 number of tweets, okay? As long as it fits within the 2 updates and lower dates, it will get it for you. It's just that it might run slower depending on your internet, all right? Or it will take some time to get that information for you. Okay, so you just keep that in mind. This is just practice. When you guys have the scripts, if you want to, maybe you want to do a brand influence for Pepsodent, and so you can just do a search criteria for Pepsodent and see how people have talked about the Pepsodent products, and then do everything. So that's entirely up to you. I'm just doing this so that you don't spend a lot of time here. So let's just add more to this. So let's say the tweet date. Now the date gives us like the time that the tweet was done, and yeah, let's just add that one to it. Oh, I keep messing up the names. Shelly. Awesome. So now we have the time that this tweet was posted. It was posted on 14th, what's it called? Yes, it's not text, Moses, it's text with an X. So always, just like I've done here, always have the framework you are using, always have it somewhere so you can easily see how to access the attributes. Exactly. I think this PC has answered you. Interesting username, by the way. Okay, great. So I think that's just about the amount of information we can get from here. Now let's just make it more fun. So all these data that is generating, anytime you run the script again, the information will change. So I'm just going to show you how to save it to a CSV, and once it's in a CSV, you have a format that you can send anywhere. So you can send it as an Excel. You can even straight from CSV, you can send it right to a database, or even straight from CSV, you can give it to like a machine learning module to do further analysis. You can send it straight to a dashboard, and dashboard will do further analysis. So this example of what I was talking about, scraping being part of a pipeline. All right, great. So let's just, I'm getting excited already. So now let's just do 20 tweets. All right, great. It's going to be a bit messy, but let's just still do it. All right, great. So here, now, because we are using 20 tweets, this tweet object is a list. Okay, so that means that every row will have, every row, every row in this list would have a text, a username, and a date. All right, great. So it will make much more sense to put it in a list, use a for loop to iterate over it. So we can easily do that here. I really love for loops. If you're coming from a C++ background, you really like Python for loops. Okay, so this gives us a single row, a single element in the tweet, and a single element in the tweet has every single thing. So it has the username, and we are just pointing it for now. So the thing about Beautiful Soup is not on its own. Beautiful Soup is not a scraping library. Okay, Beautiful Soup is what we use to parse HTML and XML data. So let me just quickly show you how HTML is. So this is an example of an HTML data. Okay, so Beautiful Soup parses this and provides us methods to access the data stored inside this HTML page. So you can use Beautiful Soup, but you always have to use it in conjunction with another library. Usually we use it with Python request. So instead of using the API, you can get a Python request, which is essentially the URL, and then the URL will return this for you. Okay, and when the URL returns this for you, you can use Beautiful Soup to parse it. By passing, like with an R, I mean converting it to a form such that you can extract the data out from the tags. So this is not necessary to add, this not necessary, this not necessary, this not necessary, this not necessary. We only need the data points. All right, great. So you see, there's lots of unnecessary things here. We don't need the data points. Yeah, so you get it. Yeah, so that's it. I hope that's clear. Pasungafa-ish. I hope I pronounced it rightly. Please correct me if I didn't. But I hope that's clear. Okay, I'm getting excited. Awesome. Awesome, I got the name right. What are we doing? Okay, so we have the username. Let's have the tweet text itself. And yeah, so at least when you finish this session, you should know that you've encountered a new Python library that can help you access historical tweets. Very, very necessary when you want to do sentiment analysis or what's it called, customer segmentation, what's it called? Behavioral analytics, anything of that sort. Yes. I just want to finish this one. Okay, so let's add a date to it. Probably should add a retweet because the retweet also shows the influence like the tweet has or how many people agreed with it. So yeah. So it tweets dots. So you can see it here, there's retweet here. And that's the beautiful thing about libraries. If they are well documented, you have the idea, it tells you the data type it is. That's really amazing. I agree. Yeah. And Twitter, the Twitter API itself has a really, really beautiful documentation. So it's really good. I just want to walk through this process, then I'll show you how to save it directly to a CSV. And then yeah, we still have like one more hour, and I'll just go over the actual one, scraping with the Twitter the Tweepy framework, so that you can have those two in your bag. You can have those two in your bag. So let's see how this one goes. Awesome. So it's very, very messy. I myself, I can't make any sense out of this. Hey, so see somebody's idea of the president, even if you can read his tweets. Charlie, so that's a funny place. There's somebody advising people on the next elections. See, I only saw Mahama and Nalado alone at the police station, not with their children. Charlie. So just imagine the wealth of information you can gather about people's perception about national topics. So like the issue of let's say the COVID-19, the issue of the lockdown, the issue of SHS students going to school, even the long time issue of the Takrady girls, that whole thing. You can get people's perceptions about it, and it can give you, and then if you extract like location information as well, it can give you immense ideas into how people think. And Charlie, that's the beginning of analytics, okay? And that's where the scary part begins, because over time we can predict what you like, because you've been consistently showing us what you like on social media. So yeah, so future scrapers or future data scientists can keep this in mind. All right, great. So we have, yes, you have to, oh, but this shouldn't be so. Emmanuel, this shouldn't be so. Please confirm if you have the code very well, because this shouldn't be so. Yes, so on the list object, you don't call the attributes on the list object. You have to make sure in the for loop. So the for loop will provide a variable that will iterate over every single element in the for loop. So is there specific element in the list that you are performing that you are doing the attributes check on? So please check these ones. It's very important. And these ones, Moses, just check these ones and see if that's working. Let's just solve Moses and Emmanuel's case, and we can.
Hello.
Emmanuel, sure, go ahead. Go ahead. Yes,
I think the problem is, you see, before you added an index to the
yes,
suite.
here.
Yes. I think he needs to remove it so he can
Yes,
recopy
I
the whole
removed
code
it.
again.
You said?
Then you can recopy the whole code again without the index. And then you add the
Yeah,
code to it.
I only did the index because I wanted to access just the first index of the list. Okay, so that's why I provided the zero. That's why I provided a zero here, because this whole code will return a list. Okay, a list, and a list has a lot of elements inside depending on what you set, the figure you set here. Okay, so I just did this because I wanted to access the first one. That's why with the first one, instead of using the for loop, I just did print tweets dot username. Let me just run that one so you can see. Okay. So you see, even though I've set the max tweet to 20, I'm just accessing the first element of the list from here. So this works. If I use like the list itself, it works because technically only one element is stored here. And you can see right here, the VS Code is even telling me that it's a tweet object. Okay. But then when I remove this, I'm no more accessing one element, I'm accessing the entire list. So this one is now a list and no more a tweet object. So it's a list that contains several tweet objects also. And by this 20 tweet objects. So that's why this code now works and this one doesn't.
Okay, I think
I
you
hope
have
that's clear.
solved it.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Right. So yeah, so we just have 20 tweets here. Now let's focus on putting it inside a data frame. Okay. Let's focus on putting it inside a data frame. Okay. Let's do that now.
Hello, Clifford. Please, I wanted to ask a quick question before we go to the
Sure, go ahead.
data frame. Please, I wanted to ask about the we set one of the attributes of the when we're setting up the tweet object, the set queries set query search.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm having feedback. I don't know if it's from my end.
Yeah, but I can hear you clearly, so you can go ahead.
Okay, yes, please. So we set query search was Nanado. So what I was thinking was that the set query search is what is looking through the tweets to find out like for all the tweets that have Nanado in them.
Exactly.
I thought that's what I was doing, but when we look through it, when I ran the code for the loop, I'm seeing tweets on buses, match, and yes, I was wondering if
yes.
Yeah, why it happens like that. Yeah, that's the question.
Very good question. So once again, because you're not necessarily seeing the whole of the tweet text, it's impossible to say that Nanado isn't anywhere here. So if you can see here, it's obvious that there's nothing like Nanado here, right? But we are not seeing the entire text. Okay, you get it?
Yes, please. Yeah, I get it now. Thank you.
Yes. So I'm pretty certain that because it searches by this key, so it just makes sure that at least all of the characters are present inside the tweet before it returns it. Okay, I mean
Okay.
that's how the
So the
the
text is somehow
text
truncated.
Yes, it's truncated because just the terminal output. So we will just quickly put it in a CSV and then we can see it more. Okay.
Sure.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Charlie, you're welcome. Okay, so let's move on to that. Now, there are several ways of creating a CSV. I really like the approach where you put it in a list, and then after the list, you create a data frame based on that list, and then data frame. When you have a data frame, it's easy to get the CSV. Now, I know data frame will be confusing, perhaps for people who have not done anything as pertaining to data science, but just think of it like a container of some sort. Now, to be able to make a data framework, we have to install, so we have to import a library, and this is known as a pandas library. So we just do import pandas as PD. So yeah, it really looks messy. So no worries, no worries. When we get a CSV, you will see it clearly written. We'll see it clearly, and we can appreciate beauty. Okay, let me just do this full now. So everyone go with me. Everybody, make sure you have this in your code. Yeah, it looks very messy, Charlie. All right, great. So let's just define a list. Okay, so let's call it tweet list. Or if you're like me, I really like to be more descriptive. So you can talk about the fact that it's Nanado's tweets or something, but that's just by the way. So this time, instead of printing it out to the console, we are going to append every line in the tweet into the list. So what I'm saying is that for every so there will be a tweet object. So this is how this is how the tweet list will look like. Okay, and for each tweet object we have, if I can do this, we have the username and we have the text, we have the dates, and we have the retweets. Yeah. Yes, please. You can specify the number of tweets you want to return. That's what's here. So the set max tweets is the method you use to specify the number of tweets you want to return. So you can go as high as 2,000, 20,000, 80,000, especially for this library. That's one of the advantages of this library. You can go as high as that amount. All right, great. I'm just doing 20 for for purposes of demonstration. I think I just set it as 100. It makes more sense. Maybe 1,000. Right, it might take some time, but it's fine. Okay, so this is exactly what we are going to do. And yeah, so let's just get to it. Awesome. All right, so so the tweet list, and to put something inside the list, we use the append method. That's also pretty straightforward. You don't need to worry yourself about it. So now the tweet objects. So the tweet object, we are looking at, oh, let's add more criteria to this. Where is my, let's see all the variables. Can we get the date, the tweet? So we can get the date. So we'll start with, so the tweets dot date. Now let's start with the username. So the person on the username of the one who tweeted. The tweets dot text. And then let's just have dates, right? Come on. The tweet dot dates. I think these three are fine. Let me see what's more. Oh yeah, we can do the retweet as well. All right, so the tweet dot retweet. Now this is where I really love Jupyter notebooks, because I can put this one in one cell and run it, and after that in the next cell I can see the output of the tweet. But with the the VS Code, I have to run the whole thing again if I want to see the output of the tweet, which is like weird, right? But it's fine. It's fine. So let's just do this and have the tweets display for us. Yeah. Yes, so technically you can, I figured it out early parts of this month. There's a feature where you can actually create a Python notebook. Ooh, impressive. Thank you for that, person. So there's a feature, I also found a feature where you can create a Jupyter notebook as well in VS Code. So yeah, my love for VS Code just skyrocketed. So yeah, so let's just print. Well, it will still be as messy as ever. So let's just go ahead. So at this point, our tweet list, after this for loop runs, our tweet list has been populated with 100 tweets. Okay, and all of them, we have the username in one. So you can think of it in one column, username, you have text in one column, you have date in one column, and you have the number of retweets. Now the next thing is to just go ahead and create our data frame. So this is also pretty easy to do. And so yeah, I just like to have things modular. So PD the data. What's my IntelliSense now? Okay. Yes. All right, great. So the data frame, you can just specify the data, which in this case, so the data frame we are creating, you can specify the source data as like a list. Okay, so we have our list created for us, tweets list, and then we can have our column names. All right, okay, so our column names is also a list, but this time it gives us like it's almost 30 minutes. God. All right, great. So we just do this quickly. So the first one is the username, and the next one is, so the only thing is that when you are creating a data frame, you make sure that the tweets, the columns in the list would match the column names you are giving. Otherwise, you have something you don't want. So the tweets text, and then the dates. So let me just say created at, and lastly number of retweets. So I'll just say retweet count. retweets counts. Okay. So now we have our data frame. So now that we have our data frame, we can just save directly to a data frame. So there's a to CSV so let me just say Nanado tweets .csv. Okay, so when this code run, I should have a CSV file created for us. Awesome. So a CSV file created for us, and then it should go. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it should run without error. So this is one of the downsides of using APIs. If you don't provide some code, you really don't know what is going on till it happens. And that's also the reason why I wanted us to have just like 20 or let's say like 1 or 2 this one, but let's see how it goes. We should get feedback very soon. All right, but in the meantime, is anybody facing any challenges? It's 5:25 and I'm just hoping I will be able to do the other one. It would have been nice to do this. The one with the Twitter API.
Hello, please. I missed the code. Can you scroll up?
Sure. Yeah, probably we should have limited it to 20. But it's fine. Oh, there's a mistake. There's a mistake with my module. I mean, the attributes I use. Let me just check it again. So it's called retweets. Yes. Oh God, this PC, Charlie. Now to start it again, Charlie. That's how so you have a complete document. Then I'll just show you some simple modularization you can do to make it this one like a perfect script, so you can have minimal interactions with some of the code. Oops, so it's done. Jeez. So because I didn't specify any new directory, it will just create the CSV file in the same directory as the script. Okay, so let's just check it out. So my Nanado tweet is here. And yes, we have a very nice looking CSV. Okay. So this doesn't give word wrap, so we can easily see. Sadly, okay, so CSV is also not showing everything, which is really weird. It's supposed to show everything. Okay, so we have the username, Chefrimpon, Mama First, Smart Nana, and form of Nana, the tweet text created at retweet count. And yeah, that's fine. So if everyone got this, and then that means you're almost through. I mean, so right now we have our CSV created for us. So just imagine you can do 1,000 tweets and just go to sleep. You wake up and come. You can do 10,000 tweets, go sleep and wake up and come. You have your CSV waiting for you. And then supposing you have another automated service there, the moment the CSV is done creating, it just automatically pushes to a dashboard, or it pushes to a machine learning module, or it pushes directly to the database, and then you are good to go. So you just keep going and going and going and going and going. So I hope this is clear. I hope like everything went well. And yeah, we just have about
Hi.
32. Yeah, hello.
Yeah, I think I'm getting a name error.
Sure. Go
So,
ahead.
I want to know what I missed.
Sure, go ahead.
That's the name error is name tweet list is not defined. I think I'm missing something. I don't know if I skipped something
Can
in
you
your
can you
code.
wait? Did you
Then
create a tweet list?
then I
This
think
did you
that's
create
what
it?
I'm missing. Thank
Exactly.
you.
Exactly. Awesome, Charlie. You're welcome, Kra. So I hope this was fun. Yeah. So
Hello.
yeah. Go ahead.
Twist df dot to csv. Where does it go?
Aha. So the CSV part, you can specify a file that it should enter, a folder. So technically, the best thing I would have done if I was working on this was to create a folder called data, and I'll put this one inside. But because I didn't specify any folder and I just use the file name, it will go in the same folder location as the scripts. All right, great. So if you can see my directory here, the script is here inside the Blossom script, and then I've saved, it has saved in the same directory. You get it? Hello?
Yes.
I hope I didn't miss it. Oh, you got it, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so if one has a question, that's a very good one. Okay, so the knowledge of the HTML and CSS partly was the one I explained when it came to how response and request work. But more importantly, it's something we didn't do today, which was accessing data without an API. So that was where, because of that, would have needed to interact directly with the HTML and CSS code of the web page. I think I did that in an earlier session. I mean, the first session I did that. So yeah, that's where the knowledge of CSS and HTML comes up. But when you're interacting with an API, it's basically just coding, Python coding. So yeah, and just the understanding of how requests and are placed. Requests are placed. That's the only HTML part. That one is actually networking, but you get the idea. You're welcome. If I hope everybody is good. Okay, great. I think that is yes. Okay, so you can see something here. Now this is like a food for thought, or something you can add up to your knowledge. So anytime you are building a script, after it gets the raw code down, the next step is to try and come up with methods that can help you make your work easier. So you can see that the search criteria in this one can go into a specific function, and you can just provide these entries as parameters or arguments. Okay, and then it will return a tweets object, a tweet list. Okay, and that list, you can create another function that will convert it to a data frame and then save to a CSV, so that you just have two functions, and then you can call the function several times in your code to do several things. All right, so that's just food for thought. Pardon me for rushing up here. I really want to do the Twitter app one, so you can have two libraries to your in your tool sets that you can use for your own benefit. So if you are in agreements, I'm sure none of you have set up have gotten the confirmation yet, but I'm just going to work with the assumption so you can just follow along and ask questions when you don't understand the code. So as I code, I'll be explaining like the codes I'm typing and give you an understanding of how it works so that you can have it. When I'm done, I'll provide this script for you, and I'll provide the one I'll do for you as well, so you can have those two for yourself to practice and tweak to your own benefit. I hope that's cool. Awesome. All right, I got one confirmation, so I'm good. Okay, so let's go back to this. Okay, great. So I was explaining from the beginning, it's always advised when we are writing our scripts, especially ones that have some security credentials inside, it's always advisable to separate the security credentials from the actual script. This is important because usually we push our code to GitHub, and it's not advisable to put your API keys on GitHub. Okay, so you always separate it, and then you add this one to like your git ignore file, so it stays on your machine, and then the actual code goes to your GitHub. So I'm just going to do the same thing here and store my credentials and here. So I'm just going to give it, this is for authorize. So you can just follow along here. I'm just doing using the 3P API. All right, great. So let's just go back to, where are you? Oh, come on. Where's my app? Okay, so here's my app. So the keys and tokens, we are here. So you see we have our API key and we have our secret key. So I'm going to copy them one by one, and then I'm going to use them. So the 3P API needs 4 keys. Okay, so the first one is the consumer API keys, and the next one is the access token and access token secret. So you understand it's secret, so it's not supposed to be shared. All right, great. So I'm just going to do that quickly. And my internet connection just dropped. Let's go. Yeah. Okay, so the first one is like the consumer. So just put the variables there. And then we have the can you hear me? Hello guys, can you hear me? You can hear me. Okay, great. Can you, I'm guessing you can't see my screen, so yeah. Okay, that's fine. Oh, thank God. Let me just wrap it up. The power just went out here, so I'm certain that's why. But no worries. I hope my laptop can last that long. I'll just share my screen so we can finish it. Okay. Can you tell me my screen? Okay. Okay. All right, wait, let's go. So just have the consumer secret. Okay. Yeah. So that one too. So you see, I'm just using the credentials here. So it's advisable that nobody sees these for. Okay. So me as seeing this once I finish. Hi guys. Oh, this is getting exhausting. Okay. The connection keeps dropping. But yeah, that's fine. I'm just going to keep going. All right. So we have our two. The next ones are like the access keys and the tokens. So the access token is generated. All right, great. So I copy the access token. So access token, and yeah, and then I just come and copy there. So this is generated one time. Okay, so the moment I close this, you will not see it anymore. All right, great. So it's always advisable to make sure that you have it access token secret. Okay, so that's also one large. All right, great. So we are done with this. So the next one is to now start this one. So I'm just going to create a new file. So I'll call it scraping Twitter with tp.py. All right, great. So now the first thing, let's import our credentials. So now once again, because it's in the same directory, we can just do this. Import credentials, and we can also provide an alias as well. Yeah, so C is good. Now the next thing is the 3P framework. So this one too, you'd have to install it because it doesn't really exist in a Python package. If you're using Anaconda, there's a high possibility it's already there. But if not, you have to also do the pip install for it as well. All right, great. So I'm just doing it here. The moment it's done, then I'll just import TP as well. So TP will provide us the what we need to do our work. I agree. So now the first part. Okay, so the first part is our authentication. So now that we've gotten this one, we just need to set up the authentication. So this is why you needed to create a developer app, so that anytime you are running this script, Twitter knows that it is this application from the developer dashboard that is running the script. I hope it's clear. Okay, so are you referring to the credentials? Are you referring to the credentials, or you are referring to
the credentials?
sorry, so the credentials, when you create your Twitter app, okay, you get the keys and tokens, okay. So these are, if you remember that, you can think of the API as a gate to a big building, which in this case is our Twitter data. Okay, and there are specific doors, and every door has a key. So anytime you create the app, you are giving specific keys that you use anytime you want to enter into the Twitter data to get your information. So those are those credentials, and there are 4. It's just by design that there are 4. So you use that one to do your work. I hope it's clear, Ifwa and Jacob.
Hello.
Yes,
Mine here is story.
it's clear. All right, thank you, thank you. Ifwa, I hope it's clear too.
Yes, it is. I have another question. How did you import this credentials file as a module? Like, if you're using Jupyter Notebook, how would you do that?
Also, awesome. So with Jupyter Notebook, you can also create a new file. Suppose you are working in the same direction, you can create a new file. And then when you are creating a new file, you can select a Python script. There's a way to select. When you click new on the top left, when you click new, you can create either a page will open up and you can select either a console, a text file, or a Python script. So you can choose a Python script and you can put your credentials.py there as well. Okay, and then you import it normally, like I'm doing here. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Awesome. I just keep going now. Emmanuel, kindly go ahead. Yeah, Emmanuel, I'm listening.
Oh no, sorry. I think it was a mistake. Sorry.
Okay, cool. I saw your hand raised, that's fine. Yeah, so yeah, Jeffrey, so we're using the API key and secrets. Yes, exactly that. So now let's set up our TP authentication, authorization. So the TP library also uses these credentials in order to access it. And the code is quite messy, but I'll explain. So the first one is to set up our authentication. So the authentication is the consumer key and the consumer secret. So usually we call it auth just for simplicity's sake. So the TP library has a function called the authentication handler. All right, okay, so that handles um, all the authentication that is needed to be done with the Twitter API. So you just apply your consumer key and consumer secret, and then the TP framework would handle the authentication for you. So because I've imported the credentials file as here as a library, I can access any variable that is stored inside. Okay, so the moment I do the dot operator, you can see that all the variables I created inside are appearing for me. So yeah, easy way. So technically, what others would have done is that they would have directly typed written a consumer key here, and then when they share this file to others, people will see their consumer key, and when they see it, people can use it, and then they can abuse it and then do malicious stuff with it. Okay, so once again, the reason why it's important to have this one. So the consumer key and the consumer secret, the consumer key and consumer secret. So when that is done, now that we have the authentication, now we can now use the access token to get access to the Twitter API. All right, great. So we just say authentication.set access token. All right, great. So here we use the two, this one, we have the access token and then we have the access token secret. All right, great. So now that we are done, we can now get an API object that is essentially a wrapper around the Twitter API itself. Okay. So we have the auth, and then I'm just providing this this other condition here so that you understand that now with so this also follows the same Twitter payment structure. So the standard API, the premium, and then this one. Now for every API, there are some rate limits. The rate limits refers to the number of requests you can make within a particular time period. Okay, so by supplying this, by putting this attribute to true, I'm saying that when that time period has been reached, it should wait for the rate limit to be elapsed before it makes another request. Okay, so sometimes, yes, so sometimes it can have, like, let's say you can make only 150 requests per minute, you can make 450 requests per minute and stuff like that. So that's what this command will do. So at this point, we are done with the setting up of the authentication. Now the next thing is to access the tweets. Now, the Tweepy API provides some very, very interesting frameworks. I mean, interesting what should I call it? Interesting attributes to the Twitter object. So let's just check it out. So scraping tweets from so immediately you'll see the difference between this and then the get old tweets library. Okay, so here again, I'm just going to start with something very basic. So let's just say Nana Ado. So now here, if you want to have multiple keywords to look for, we use the plus sign. Okay, so it's just like that. We use the plus sign. So let's just have fellow Ghanaians. Well, let me just have lockdown for fellow Ghanaians. People are now using that hashtag for several things. Okay. Okay, so now that we are done, we are ready to access the API. Now to do that, there's a method called the cursor. The cursor gives us the opportunity to point to each tweet at each time, okay, and send the exactly the information we want. So yeah, let me just do that. So the API, and this time we are using the search endpoint. So the search endpoint, and then the Q, it just refers to the query we want to do. And this time we are providing a text query here, which essentially means that we are searching by that query. Now, I'm just providing these other attributes because I want to make sure that I get tweets that are only in English. Okay, great. Now the next thing is to supply something we call the items attribute. So the items function method, let me put it that way. So this one is just like what we saw in the get tweet, the set max tweets. So this one returns the number of tweets you want. All right, so for this one, let's just say 20. I'm hoping my internet is very good. And for now, let's just print out setting for tweet in tweets. So let's just print. So now here we can have several objects. Let me just show you. Okay, I just want to show the documentation to show you. Hmm. Yeah, so I just want, let me share my screen and show you. Okay, so confirm if you can see my screen. So not a desktop, I want to show you. Okay, so I'm showing you the documentation for the tweets API. Just confirm if you can see it. I want to show you the attributes you can get from the standard tweets. Oh, that should be right here. Come on, internet. Almost time. Yeah, so you see, I'm not doing a search by username. I'm doing a Twitter query search. Okay, so this one is not searching like by username, but it's searching through all the tweets, any tweets that has the Nanado name inside. Okay, So yeah, so let me just show you how the tweet objects look like. Fundamentals. Yeah, let's go to data dictionary. Okay, so the tweet object, we can have the time it was created, the text, the actual tweet, the user, and we can get the user name, the user screen name, the location of the user. Yeah, and we can get several information. So we are just going to try and get some information from the I can confirm if you can see the code back. All right. Okay. Yeah. So let's try this. All right. Awesome. All right. Great. Time crunch, so I'm rushing it out. So in the same scenario, let's just try with just printing. So tweet dot created. We need the created at. There's something like that, and let's just have a couple. So we can have the tweet itself. Tweet dot text and tweets dot source, and yeah. So the username as well. So we can have the tweets, and then the username is also an object. The username object has some attributes, the name, and yeah. So let's just do this once for now, and let's limit it to 10. So assuming my and so depending on my internet level, and that it might take some time to load, but hopefully we should get something. So yeah, so basically this is how we do it. As we wait for it to load, this is how we do it with the 2P API. So you see that for each two scenarios, it's pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of coding inside. There's only knowing how to access the frameworks methods and attributes, and then do what you want with it. So here again, you can specify up to like the number you want, and then you can get it. Now the limitation, once again, if I could just read you, the limitation between this and then the other is that with this one, you can access only up to seven days. Okay, so 7 days before the previous day. So that's, you can access only up to 1 week of tweets. But with the GOT3, you can access any number with any date range. Okay, with any date range. All right, great. So that's one. And also the advantage of the 2P one is that it gives you more access to more attributes about the Twitter object. But with the get tweet, it just gives you something very small. So whilst my thing is loading, I guess we can wrap up. So in conclusion, scraping is a really essential skill, but I'm just going to keep iterating. It's always a part of a process. All right, great. So as you are studying, as you are getting more conversant with it, start thinking about where you can apply it. There are several fields you can apply it. Your own personal research, your own fun project you are working on. Maybe you want to learn how to scrape from an API and put it into a database. Several databases, you can just learn that one, and all those things. You can learn how to, after it gets into a database, maybe you can load it to maybe a dashboard and try to visualize something. It would be nice to see maybe you can come up with a dashboard that shows like tweet statistics of people who tweet, the number of people who tweet with the hashtag lockdown or the hashtag fellow Ghanaians or something like that. So you can just play around this and you have something solid to use for this one. So in conclusion, that's just about it. Any questions? Yeah, it's finally arrived. Oh, it's still not arrived. Oh boy. Jeez, my internet is slow. Right, so are there any questions? If not, yeah, I'll just switch back to the okay, so I'm just going to switch back to the presentation and wrap up there. All right, great. So yeah, so the next step would be some ideas you can pursue.
Please,
And
I
there
want to ask something.
sure, Moses, go ahead.
Can you go back to your
The
the
code,
VS code? Yeah.
sure.
So if you want to push something like this to Git, you have to push the Twitter scrubbing Twitter with tp.py. That one rather, right?
Yes. You
Oh,
just push
okay.
that one.
Okay. That's what I just want to know. Thank you very much.
Ah, cool. Great. You're welcome, Moses. All right, so guys, it really has been a great time, and I'll really be happy to connect with you guys. So you can hit me up. I'm sure, I don't know if there's a WhatsApp group with you inside, but if there's a WhatsApp group with you, I'm sure you see me around there. My name is Clifford inside there, so we can chat. You can also hit me up on LinkedIn, still Clifford. You
Yes.
can easily
So,
find me.
Senior Clifford, I
Yes,
think
Lawrence.
for this group, WhatsApp group was
Ah,
not created for them.
oh,
But
okay,
those
okay.
who applied, we have their contact list.
Ah,
So
okay, sure.
sent, I just sent the company WhatsApp line. So those
Oh,
who
okay.
did not apply can also message us with their details so that we can share the recordings with them.
Sure. That's great. That's great.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, so guys, like I said, what I'll do is I'll send you the script I prepared, and so you can have it to yourself and tweak it anyhow you want for your own benefit. Sure. So thank you guys. It's been awesome. I really enjoyed myself. I hope you did too. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys can produce out. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, Lawrence, I'm done.
Done very well. Great.
Thank you.
Clifford and Labi. Mhm.
Cool. Okay, you're welcome, Moses. You're welcome.
Senior Clifford,
Yes.
can we have you stopped the recording?
Yes. Oh no, let me stop it.
Okay.
Yes.